I am transgender. Growing up, it was scary. I didn't have anyone to talk to. My family didn't understand. It's a struggle to be real. Society, for some reason, doesn't want people to be real. I've come across a lot of transgender children in the world, and I want to do everything in my power to make sure that they don't go through the things that I went through. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It doesn't matter what you look like. It just matters, are you a good person? I want someone to know it's okay to be transgender. It's okay to discover that you're not transgender if you think you are. It's okay to be gender fluid. It's okay to be gender neutral. It's okay to be gender non-conforming. It's okay to be male. It's okay to be female. It's okay to be gay, straight, lesbian. It's okay. Just please be a good person. Be kind. Hi everyone, welcome to the next episode of Kelly's Quest. Today we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to focus on employment primarily. And I have someone that is a local native to New England. I guess that makes you a New Englander, Allie.
I guess so,
I don't know if there's I'm a volunteer from Tennessee. I don't know really the catchphrases yet up here. I'll figure them out. But we're going to kind of compare and contrast her experiences with employment in New England versus my experiences with employment in Tennessee, and kind of now my experiences up here. So, Allie, thank you so much for doing this. In general, can you talk about your employment, let's say, history over the last 5 years?
Where I'm coming from is prior to me starting at the company that I am working full-time now, it's an engineering company, actually compliance company. I started that job as Rick. About 6 months into the actual job, I basically came out to my management team. I sat down with my boss and said, by the way, you've always known me as Rick, but I've actually been a transgender person all my life. And I think it's time for me to express this a little bit more.
What year was that?
That was back in, it was September of 2012.
September of 2012?
Yes.
And how was that experience? I mean, were your knees shaking? Did you have to work up courage to actually take that initial step up here? Or because it's New England, you could sort of sense?
Well, let me back up a little bit. So,
okay.
Through this whole thing, the reason why I waited so long in my life, I've known this for all my life. I was afraid of a few things. One was, what would my family think if I came out? And two, what would happen to my employment? I was deathly afraid of, possibly getting fired, or, them coming up with some reason to get rid of me because of this. So by 2012, I made the decision that this is who I am, whatever happens, happens. So Mike said to me, wow, I didn't know that about you. And he said, well, it won't, he goes, I will not treat you any differently. We had a few more words back and forth. I went back to my desk and sat there, and he treated me no differently at all.
So when you told him that you are transgender, what was your gender expression at that point? Were you presenting as male, or were you presenting as female, or was there some ambiguity?
All
was
male.
there all male at the time?
All male, yes.
Did you start transitioning kind of during that initial period with him on the job, or was it more, this is who I am, and then you started working on yourself before you presented yourself to the world?
So basically, shortly after that conversation that I had with him, I started transitioning a little bit, letting my hair grow a little bit longer, getting my ears pierced. I started wearing khaki girls' pants to work with a shirt that I like to call co-ed shirt.
Right,
The sleeves are a little bit, they're not as short as the girl shirts, but they're not long down to the elbow like a guy's shirt. So I started doing that, and it got a little, as my hair got longer and that, as I started to wear different clothes, I made the decision. This was close to 2015. So it took about 3 years for me to get to a level where, okay, I am going to tell my entire workforce. Now, in between that time that I told my boss and I got ready to tell the rest of the world, there was people that I worked with that I felt comfortable expressing this to. I will be honest with you, they were mostly women that I felt fine with, younger, you know, in their 20s and that. So, and everyone gave me a positive response back, you know. So it was May of 2015, I was at the point where I was like, okay, I'm ready to tell everyone. But I had to think about this. When am I going to do this? So I thought about it. Oh, do I want to do it on a Friday? Well, hey, that gives people the weekend to think about this and come back and maybe not like me on Monday. So I also thought, like, at what time of the day was I going to send up this email? Did I want to do it before lunch? Did I want to do it after lunch? Well, I figured, you know, I sit with a bunch of...
Was HR involved with this at all, or were you doing this on your own?
As soon as I told Mike contacted HR also. He also told all the team leaders at the time,
the
too.
HR was in support with you on
knew
this.
about this. My team leaders knew.
Fantastic. That's so
Everyone
good to
knew.
hear.
Everyone knew. So basically, I decided that I was going to do it on Monday and right after lunch. And I sent out the email saying, you know, all of you have known me as Rick, but really I am actually a transgender person. At this time, you know, things will slowly change, but my name will not change, and I'll let everyone know when that time
Had
comes.
you ever considered, like for me, when I transitioned, Allie, I went to the same school system over and over and over again, and I would get fired by them. But I was like, I'm a good teacher. I deserve to be in your school system. And I never thought, you know what? In the beginning, I'm just going to go start all over again as a new Kelly Jenkins and never tell anyone I'm transgender. And that's what I ended up doing. And it was horrible in Tennessee because there was still all of the baggage from everything. So did you ever even have to consider, you know, maybe I just need to go somewhere else and start this whole process over a clean slate?
I never thought that because I felt very comfortable at this company. They had known me for, you know, I had worked there once before, so I came back. So they knew me for years. They didn't treat me any differently. They never gave me any bad assignments. They never, you know, I felt comfortable. I felt very comfortable.
That is so nice to hear. It really is nice to hear.
In time. So like I said, I sent that email out and I got positive. There was 17 people that emailed me back that basically said, you know, great, you know, you have a lot of strength, you have a lot of courage and that, and if there's anything I can do to help you out. So I felt really good at that point in time. And throughout this whole experience there was really no one that gave me any grief. But like anyone, there's always that maybe one or two people that are not like, do not understand this. So.
Are you with that company now?
I'm actually there now. I only have like a few more days there, and I'm actually going to a new company. That company, I basically am Allie, 100% Allie. I've legally changed my name, and...
I mean, you are Allie. There's no basically to it.
Well, yes, that is true. That is true. But what I mean by that is I was Allie when my legal name was Rick.
Yes.
You know, but it's legally, I've changed my name, I changed Social Security, I did all that, you know.
I'm in the process of having,
the pain.
It is. I'm in the process right now of trying to get some paperwork from England when I got my teaching degree. And all of that paperwork has Mr. Kelly Matthew Jenkins.
Right.
Him, he, his, everywhere over it. And in England, I'm having trouble with them being willing to change this paperwork for me. And the University of Tennessee, where I got my bachelor's degree in the South, changed my transcripts and all my gender markers. So I'm in the process now of trying to get a teaching license here in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And one of the big holdups is this little paperwork thing. Was the paperwork easy to do here in New England? As far as you were talking about, you changed your name, you changed all of that stuff. Did you just go online and Google it, or did you go somewhere to find assistance with this, or how did you kind of navigate all of this? Because it can be, it's a lot.
It's very time consuming.
Yes, it is.
So once I decided that I was going to change my name legally, I went through the family court system. Since I'm in central New England,
How did you
that
know
was
to go
Worcester.
to the family court system?
That was a Google. I
That was you
Googled that,
Googled it?
and it
Google.
basically.
I'm telling you folks, Google can answer a lot of things.
Yeah. So basically, I went there. I filled out the form, and basically, I did have to go back a second time. Actually, I take that back. I did not have to go back a second time. I had to mail them in because they want to see your birth certificate because they have to alter that. Well, I presented the small form. They needed the long form. So basically what I did is instead of going back down to Worcester, I just mailed it to them. And then you have to fill in a letter as to why you're changing and this and that.
Did you have to appear before the judge?
No, I did not.
You didn't have to?
Did-
In Tennessee, I
did
had
not.
to.
It depends. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I did not have to. Sometimes you have to publish your name. I basically said there were people out there that do not understand this, and I felt that my life could be threatened, and that was enough probably for the judge to say, okay, this person does not have to have their name published in the paper. I also said I was not trying to avoid any, any legal or any financial obligations through this. So.
That would be a pretty extreme way to get out of legal obligations to transition.
Yes, it would be.
It didn't work that way. It just created a lot more financial
it would
obligations.
Be, yes.
So you're leaving your current position
Yeah.
that you're at in a couple of days to move on to brighter pastures or different pastures. Do you have anything else going on with work that's kind of like a third job or anything like that that you're doing as far as, is this, so you were at the company in the initial stages, Rick, and you kind of transitioned on the job. You're at this job going into, have you already tested that out before going to a job and applying for it? Is this did you get your first job that you applied for as Allie, I guess is what I'm saying? Or were there other jobs that you might have succeeded at also as applying as Allie? Like I applied for a lot of jobs as a teacher and didn't get them because, well,
Right.
there's a lot of reasons. It's teaching, it's experience, it's qualification, it's all this stuff that builds up
Yep,
into it.
yep.
Was it a home run every time you applied for a job
Well,
here?
actually, I needed a part-time job. I needed a little extra money, so I actually applied to Hannaford, and I went in there. I filled out the application as Allie, even though I had submitted the paperwork to change my name legally to Allie, but I was actually Rick at the time. But I said, well, within like a few weeks, months, I will be Allie. The court will make the decision. I have all my paperwork, the security card, the license, all the stuff that you need to go to work changed. So I applied there. I went through the interview process, and they hired me. And that experience has been great too.
Well, see, that's,
You know?
I think that's what I'm trying to say. You build confidence. It's like, oh, I just got a job as Allie. I can now go apply for this better job as Allie. I can now go do this as, you know what I mean? Whereas in Tennessee, when I applied for a job, we're not going to hire you. You're transgender. Oh, so now I've got to go find a it's not my qualifications, it doesn't match my qualifications.
Right.
I want to be a teacher, but I've got to go do this, which has nothing to do with my training, and it was a lot less money. So my confidence got rocked. It got knocked pretty hard from it, and I began to think, well, why even bother applying for the better jobs?
Right.
And since I've moved up here, and I'm getting jobs as I apply for them, I'm like, well, I might as well shoot for the stars now. Let's apply for all, and let's just see what happens. And I might not get them, but I think that the confidence that comes from this being an accepting state is huge. I mean, because you can reach your potential here and not worry about they're going to fire me because I'm Allie, or they're going to fire me because I'm
Right.
Kelly.
Of course, that's what I was hoping. And like I said, with the part-time job, it was no problem. Management was, it's like I was no different person than whether I was Allie or whether I was Rick. You know, there was never a talk about it. It was just, we think you have the right qualifications. Here you are. They trained me. I did well. And that's good. So the new job that I applied for, a full-time job, I just saw I had the application, the qualifications for the position, so I applied.
That's wonderful. I mean,
And of
that
course,
should be how it is,
right? But
shouldn't
the
it?
needs are still knocking as to what are they going to think.
Yeah, that's one of the more, for me, extending myself out to us, like the school system that I'm at right now is amazing. Absolutely, I'm gobsmacked by how good they are there. Can I now go apply at a school system in central Massachusetts that only has a population a third of the size of this school system, or even smaller? Are they going to accept me as my open, authentic self as much? And I don't know the answer to that, because school systems and students, and when you work with youth, you know, parents are protective of their kids, rightfully so. And I'm willing to drive an hour and a half to be safe, if that makes sense. I might be safe at a school system around here, maybe Acton, Boxborough, maybe Leominster, things like that. But I find it, I'm so overwhelmed by how accepted I am at Wellesley that I can't imagine that there'll be another school system that'll accept me as much. So it's in one sense, because of this kindness that I've been shown and this support, I feel I can go conquer the world. But because of my past of being excluded from jobs because of who I am, I've got these two battling polar opposites of one another, and I find it challenging to sometimes really pursue my most potential because of it. So, I mean, so for you to just say, you know, I had the qualifications, I thought I'm going to go for it, and they hired me, that's how I want to get to. And it helps for me to hear people like you, Allie, say, this is how I did it, because it makes me think, Massachusetts really does what it says it's going to do. And
You know, I cannot speak for other people, nor can I speak for other states, but I've never had any problems here. Never. So
it's wonderful.
hopefully things are getting better.
I mean, you know, obviously people do have problems, but for you to not have those extreme problems, it's good for me to see, because it's like, okay, here's someone that is being just as brave as I am, that is stepping so far out of the social norm, but at the same time is our normal. You know, this is our normal, is to go get jobs, to go hang out with friends, to go do our hobbies, you know, to
Go into restaurants.
go to restaurants, you know,
yeah.
those are our normal
Yeah.
things. And to hear stories of yours where, you know, all my employment opportunities have been good, it makes me think, A, you're a great employee, because they wouldn't hire you for that. But B, the part of us being transgender isn't a deal breaker anymore. And that's just huge to me.
Well, in my experience, that's the case.
Well, Allie, I think we're going to wrap the show up here in just a minute. Do you have any last things you want to share with the audience? Because this is our chance. I appreciate you sharing your story, because that's really the whole purpose of the show, is just to give insights into people's experiences. And with your employment, I just feel like they needed to hear that things are going pretty good in Massachusetts. There's still work to be done, but things are starting to go pretty good.
All I can say is just be yourself. You know, just go out there, do it, apply. Go in as whoever you are. And, you know, you may not get this job, but you may get the next one. And I think that it's important that we get out there and let people know that we're no different than anyone else.
Nope. But everybody is different from everyone else too at
Absolutely,
the same time. So
yes.
that's what makes us no different from anyone else. Well, Allie, thank you so much for coming on to the episode and sitting down with me to discuss
Sure.
this. I mean, it's wonderful. It
Kelly,
really
thank you
is.
for inviting me.
And to everybody out there, especially in Massachusetts, keep pushing for employment opportunities, keep being your authentic self, and I guess that goes for the rest of the world too. Be yourself. Bye.